Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Boxing Podcast. We are sponsored by 32 Red. I'm your host, Sahni, and with me is a man who is quite simply my boxing best friend. It is, of course, Steve Lillis.
Hey, let's go, champ! Let's go, champ!
How do you feel about being my boxing best friend? I was expecting more from you, more a kind of emotive response than just sort of teasing what's coming up in the show, Steve.
Because you are my boxing best friend. It goes without saying. I don't need to react to it, you see.
Good. Better than like Bunsen Barry and all of them guys.
Numero uno.
Good. That's what I like to hear. I noticed on your Instagram story, Steve, you were like punk rocking this week. Talk me through that.
Mate, it was a wild weekend on the on water. I even had a couple Coca-Colas at a punk festival with Minehead, mate. Some of the greats and not so greats of punk were there. Brilliant weekend with a couple of pals, mate, and I must do it more often. But the only thing was, on Friday night, you know, they're regimented what they have on TV at these Butlins holiday camps, where they have music festivals. They refused to switch off whatever match it was, Norwich, I think it was, for the boxing. And I can put my hand in the air and say, this is the first time I've missed boxing, domestic boxing, on any channel for ages.
No way, because you were at a punk rock festival and you chose that over the Royal Albert Hall, Steve. Let's make that very clear.
I was in the mosh with punk royalty, mate, like the Skids, who are playing the Royal Albert Hall in June. So there you go.
What a lovely little transition there. Well, this week, as Steve kind of teased by saying, let's go, champ, we've got the one and only Shannon the Cannon Briggs. We hear from the champ himself. We hear from heavyweight prospect Nathan Gorman. We've got Irish superstar Mick Conlan on the show ahead of his St Paddy's Day party on BoxNation. And we hear from the light heavyweight contender Lyndon Arthur, who recently got hold of a kid who was trying to rob his car. It's all fun and games. Keep us in your ear for the next hour or so. Let's go, champ. Well, where better to start? You're about to hear the voice of one of the biggest characters in boxing. The man whose very presence lights up the room and gets tongues wagging. Dare I say, he gets pulses racing. And this week, he's joined by Shannon Briggs.
Shannon, thanks for joining us on the Boxing Podcast. We've got boxing royalty in the house.
Thank you, champ. Thanks for having me, Steve.
First of all, let's ask you, where are you in your boxing career right now? We haven't seen you for nearly 3 years since you knocked out Zarate over here in London.
Yes, brother. I'll be back very soon. Like the great Tyson Fury told me recently, he said, champ, never retire. I said, you're right, champ, never. I'll never retire. I'm looking forward to being back in the ring, hopefully, champ, within the next 3 or 4 months. I'm coming to England. I got this tour going on right now in England. It's going to be phenomenal. Gold Star Promotions and Dean Watkins. This is going to be a great tour. And then after that, I'm straight to training camp. Hopefully, I'll be training with the Gypsy King, and I'll be fighting on his undercard.
So you're going to be training with Tyson Fury, you hope?
That's the hope. That's the hope, yes, champ.
So you'll be training either here or in America, wherever Tyson sets up the main part of his camp?
Wherever he go, I go.
So has he invited you into camp?
Yes, he did, champ. You know, we talked about it, and hopefully it'll happen. Ben Davidson's a great trainer. Hopefully I'll work with him as well and get back into top shape. And, you know, I got some fight left in me, and that's what it's about, Steve. I love having fun. I love, fighting. It's what I've been doing all my life. It keeps me in phenomenal shape. It makes me happy to just be active. When I'm not active, I've suffered from depression in the past, and, I've realized that sitting down doesn't help the champ.
Can you not survive without boxing then? Because we've always seen you and you've kept yourself in tremendous shape ever since we saw you way back in the early 1990s when Mike Marley was involved with you. Can you not live without boxing? Because I think you're 47 or 48 this year later on?
Yes, I'm 47, champ. I'll be 48 December 4th.
Can you not live without boxing?
I think it's a part of my life. It's been a part of my life. I'm an entertainer. I love to entertain. I'm an entertainer that can fight, Steve. So I'm looking forward to just living my life. It makes me happy. It keeps me in shape. If I wasn't fighting, I'd still be around boxers. I'm a boxer. I can identify with boxers. I can identify with fight people, period. Whether it's a writer, a promoter, a manager. I'm a fight guy. I've been in there all my life since I was a kid. So it's just something I've been around. I love it. And after I finish fighting, if I ever do, I'll be promoting guys, advising them, and hopefully consulting guys to have great careers.
How do you rate the heavyweight division, the heavyweight landscape right now? Because, you know, I'm on the outside looking in, but it looks like you've got Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, and then a big gap between them and the rest. How do you see it?
Oh, it's phenomenal right now. It's a great division. It's heavy. It's heavy in a sense, whereas a lot of guys with a lot of talent, especially out of the UK. And I'm looking forward to what 2019 is going to happen with this big fight between Joshua and Big Baby. And Tyson's going to have a couple fights. Wilder's going to stay busy. He's got a tough big fight with Brazil. That's a lot of static, a lot of beef between those guys. So that should be a big fight. And you got some, like I said, some great young guys coming up that, you know what, I think that they should give me a shot. And some of them young boys give me a shot, and I'll fight them, and I'll give them a test.
Before we talk about the younger guys, who's the best heavyweight in the world right now, apart from you, champ?
Oh, because you know what I was going to say.
I know what you're going to say. So who's the best out there right now, apart from you?
Joshua.
Really, yeah? Why is that? Because he's been more active than Tyson, or you think he's better than Wilder? What's your reasoning?
It would have to be, like I said, activity. But Tyson showed because look, Wilder was active, and Tyson came back off for two fights after being off for a few years, and he won the fight. Really, he beat Wilder. So you can't really say it's just because Josh was active. Joshua's sharp. He's sharp. He's got a strong jab. But I tell you this, man, he's got a big fight coming up with Jarrell Miller, and what I see in that fight, that could go one or two ways. Jarrell Miller's a slow starter, so if he starts slow, AJ has an opportunity to jump on him and catch him cold. I think after 6 rounds, that fight could go any way because I think Jarrell he's a tank. He just cooks up. He's a locomotive, and once he gets the train started, it's hard to stop that train.
And how good's Tyson Fury?
He showed it. He came off the ground. He came off of years of layoff, and he boxed the shit out of him. Excuse my language, champ. He boxed the crap out of him. He boxed him. He taunted him. He played with him. He's a natural boxer. What Tyson is, he's such a big guy, but he's so relaxed. He's so relaxed in the ring. And I've always said that any man relaxed is never going to get tired because he's having fun. And that was my problem. I wasn't a relaxed fighter coming up. I was always anxiety-filled. I was a cannonball. So, him showing that his relaxation, his ability to box as a big man, who's going to be able to beat him? That's the question. You're going to have to come in. And when you're coming in on a big guy like Tyson, you might get caught with something. Not that he's a tremendous puncher, but he's going to put them together. And anything can hit you from a big man that you don't see and knock you out. So that's what makes him so dangerous. He's a big man that's technically way above the rest. And he's loose and relaxed. How you going to beat that? If you don't knock him out, he's so tall, how you going to get to him to knock him out? It's hard. Even an easy man.
And you mentioned some of the younger fighters who you'd like to take on.
I eat them up like sandwiches, champ.
We've got Daniel Dubois in this country and Nathan Gorman getting a lot of publicity. You may have heard of them. Would you like to fight them, and what do you think of them?
I think those are good fighters, boy. I got to tell you, champ, Steve, those are some really good fighters. That's what makes the heavyweight division, hot right now, because you got those two young beasts that can within the next few fights, they can turn around and be in contention themselves. So, the division's hot right now, thanks to those guys and others. So I think that I should be the gatekeeper. I think that these guys should let the champ be the gatekeeper. And if they can get past me, then they qualify.
So you'd like to come to England, fight Daniel Dubois or Nathan Gorman, or fight one then the other one?
I like to get 2 or 3 warm-up, tune-up fights, get the rust off, and then I like them to get the same. And if the people want it, I like those guys. Personally, I like both of them. I like to, give them a match and see how they do, how they test up with the champ. I might even go to their gyms when I get to England and see if they want to spar the champ.
Everyone wants to spar the champ. Everyone wants to be around the champ.
Let's go, champ.
So, with your own career, how far can you go now?
I'm 47. I'm 47, Steve. I got 3 more years in me. 33 more years in me.
So can you be world champion again? Or not be world... You won the WBO. You fought Lennox Lewis in one of the great heavyweight fights that we had in Atlantic City. What can you do?
I can do damage. I hit hard, Steve. I hit hard. I'm fast. My chin is granite. I don't care. I'll put my body in harm's way for the win, and that's what I'm about. That's what action is about. People want action. They want to see a man that's either going to guard the shield or put the other man in a box, and that's what I come to do. It's the champ.
Tell us, what was it like being involved in that fight with Lennox Lewis?
It was great. It was great. Great champion. I got to say, I'm happy to say my name's on the list in history of men who fought him. Even though, unfortunately, I lost, it was still an experience that I don't regret. I mean, I wish I had been in better shape. I went into the fight with a broken hand, and I still took the fight because of financial reasons and my shit trainers, my shit management. But it's cool. I did what I did. Unfortunately, I lost, and I'm alive. And he's a great man. He's a great fighter, and I like to listen to him talk. I heard him recently on the Joe Rogan podcast, and Lennox is a favorite of mine.
And just, you mentioned your tour at the top of the interview. Just tell the fans what they can expect when they come to your shows.
Ooh, when they come to see the champ, they're going to just meet the champ. I'm just a real person. I am who I am. I'm ugly, but I'm funny, Steve.
You think you're ugly?
Let's go, champ.
Let's go, champ.
I ain't winning no beauty contest no time soon.
I bet you were winning them beauty contests when you were fighting them big fights in the 90s, mate. I bet the women thought you were beautiful then.
Thank you, champ. I appreciate you, brother.
Shannon, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast, and we look forward to greeting you in England in a week or so.
Let's go, champ.
Well, that was charismatic 47-year-old former lineal heavyweight world champion Shannon Briggs, who believes he has 33 years left in the game. Steve, what says you?
I'm not sure about 33 years in the game or how many more fights he's got left in the game, but we're certainly, it's safe to say we're on the home stretch. We haven't reached that stretch because, of course, he hasn't boxed since he was over here. I think he boxed on a David Hayes show. But as you say, what a character he was. And when you look back on his career, you're going to think of the character and how long he was around for. And let's go, champ. Yeah. You're gonna think all that more than his actual fights he's been in. I mean, when he turned professional, there was major expectation in America, especially coming from New York, the charisma. I can remember even there was a documentary even made on him that was shown in this country when Mike Marley was managing him, and there was a huge expectation, out of New York. Mike Tyson had won the world title a couple of years ago. He turned pro early 90s. He was going to be the next New York star. And I remember waking up the morning after he lost to Darrell Wilson. He was about 20. He'd won about 20 odd fights. Chinning virtually all of them in no time at all. That was such an upset at the time. You just couldn't believe where it would go. But of course, he come back with some wins and then ended the career of George Foreman, which made him the lineal champion. I mean, Foreman had struggled with Lou Savarese in his previous fight from memory. So, it wasn't anything like the Foreman of the first generation or even the Foreman that had knocked out Michael Moorer in that famous knockout, which is an iconic image when he knocked
It happened. It happened.
Yeah, fantastic. And then, you know what? I was there when he had that fight with Lennox Lewis in Atlantic City. And the bravery he showed that night was fantastic. He made Lewis won in 5 rounds, and people think, well, Briggs was down. Was it 4 times or 3 or 4 times he was down? People will think of that.
Yeah, but he gave him a fight, though, didn't he?
He gave him a fight before he fell apart. Lewis was always on top, but he was always there, always in the fight. And that was a terrific losing performance. And he was involved in one of, the most exciting heavyweight fights of that era. And there was a lot of good heavyweights around there. But after that, the career seemed to drift away. But he still managed to win the WBO title against, was it the White Wolves? Sergey Lajkovic,
yeah.
He stopped him in the final round. I think he that was a close fight, and he won that. But he lost to Ibragimov in the very first defence. So, to me, it was he's got a great record, great character, and everybody loves him. He looks after himself. But for me, being around boxing in the early 90s, it was a career that never fulfilled his potential. And basically, he's known for the win over George Foreman and the loss to Lennox Lewis. That's what he's known for. When you say he's WBO heavyweight champion, it's the sort of thing you'd have to check up sometimes to believe it.
Yeah, well, that's a good history lesson, Steve. But I'll ask you this. So, prime Shannon Briggs, the cannon, in his pomp, knocking out people in the first round. Where does he slot in today? How good was he? Would he fit in? Would he be one of the, dare I say, would he be up there with the Joshua, the Wilder, the Fury? Would he be just a rung below that? The Dillian White, the big baby Miller, is he rung below that? Where do you think he actually slots in?
He would be right behind that. He would be a rung above Dillian White and Jarrell Miller, but I don't think I think Fury would be too clever. Him and Wilder would have been a brilliant shootout. Cool. And you think Joshua would have got to him. But in the current climate, I think he would be just behind them.
And possibly could stand up in any era, is my opinion. So good to have the champ on the show. I understand he's going to be touring in the UK soon, Steve.
Yeah, he's coming to the UK. He's flying over here next week. He's up to all sorts when he's over here. The tour that he's going in, it's going to be great fun. It's called the Let's Go Champ Tour. I'm not going to say Let's Go Champ again today, because I'm driving you up the wall with that.
A little bit. Yeah.
It's called his official UK. It's the Let's Go Champ, Shannon Briggs official UK tour. It starts in Newcastle, March 22nd. Then he's in Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Bristol, Cardiff, Leicester, Portsmouth, Birmingham, in Doncaster. And if you want to go, log on to goldstarpromotionsuk.co.uk, and that will tell you how you can go and be around Shannon. Cuddle the champ, kiss the champ. Do anything you want with the champ, but be nice to him, because he's a nice man.
Well, Steve, let's go.
Champ.
Young heavyweights Daniel Dubois and Nathan Gorman are on a collision course in 2019. Dubois knocked out Razvan Kajanu in 2 rounds last week at the Royal Albert Hall and did it in emphatic style. And that's a fighter that took Nathan Gorman the distance. Now, Nathan Gorman has his own fight coming up in Leicester next Saturday night on BT Sport against 26-1 former UFC star Fabio Maldonado. So it will be his chance to put on a show. Steve Lillis gave the Ricky Hatton-trained heavyweight a quick call.
Nathan, thanks for joining us again on the Boxing Podcast. I'm sure we're going to talk about your pal Daniel Dubois in a bit, but first of all, what about your fight coming up against Fabio Maldonado, an ex-UFC, an experienced mixed martial artist? He's not going to ground you and pound you, is he?
Well, hopefully not. He looks a bit of an animal in that cage, to be fair, Steve. What I've seen, a few lads in the gym have been showing me a few videos. He looks hard as nails, but let's be fair, he's very experienced. He's had more knockouts than I've had fights. He can punch a bit, and obviously it's the heavyweight division. You can't really switch off for 1 second, can you? 18 stone men hit you on the chin. It's over, really, isn't it?
Well, that's right. I mean, I've never been hit by an 18 stone man, but I know what happened if an 8 stone man hit me on the chin.
Let me tell you, it's not nice. So obviously I've got to take Fabio, 101% serious, which I am doing, training for the best. I've seen a few videos of him and stuff, and they believe, it's the right fight at the right time for my progression. So, yeah.
When you said there, it's not nice getting hit, when you get hit by an 18 stone man and it really hurts you. Who was the 18 stone man who really hurt you, or you thought it was horrible?
Keith Steve, I've sparred all of them, as well as there isn't one specifically where I've been, hit and really, really hurt, to be fair, thank God. I don't want to jinx myself now, but there isn't one I've really been, rattled with. So I can't really answer your question there, but I'd imagine if you do switch off and get hit promptly by one, obviously on fight night with 10 ounce gloves, it's a lot different than sparring, 16 ounce and big padded egg guards.
And as you say, if you're 18 stone, it really, another 18 stone man's hitting you, your chin can't help it, can it, really?
Of course it can, definitely not.
So you was at the Royal Albert Hall on Friday night doing some work for BT. I saw you looking all splendid, sitting there with your dad, I think it was, with you. What did you think of Daniel Dubois' performance against the man, Kajanu, who took you to the 10 rounds or 12 rounds, was it you went?
12 rounds, I went the distance with him, yeah. He done well, but a lot of people forget styles make fights, Razvan's style is suitable for him, and to be fair, I had a week's notice for Razvan. You know what I mean? I had zero sparring because obviously I was meant to fight someone who was 6 foot, and I had all the correct sparring for him, everything was perfect in the camp, and obviously that fell through, then Razvan was the only opponent.
And the last time we had you on the podcast, I think you did say to me it would either be a very quick win or a long night for Daniel, didn't you?
Yeah, which I generally think Daniel and Razvan's styles gel together. He did come out throwing more punches, though, to be fair, Razvan, which he never done against me. He come out like in a survival mode of me, staying on the ropes, covering up, throwing the odd jab and stuff. Yeah, he was just in survival mode. And when someone's so offensive, as I put it. You know the way they're always moving, and it's very hard to get your punches off. But at the end of the day, he got the job done, didn't he? He done it in a couple of rounds. So
Daniel doesn't say a lot, but he told me last week he'd knock you out. You must be annoying him.
I know. Listen, words are words, aren't they, Steve? But if he's that sure, why doesn't he fight me then? You know what I mean? It's very, very easy to happen. Just pick up the phone and ring me.
Well,
if he's that sure of knocking me out, I think someone's blowing some false smoke up his ass. To be fair,
yeah.
He thinks he can knock me out. But listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I believe I'll knock Daniel out. There's some people out there who believes he knocks me out. So it's one of them.
I mean, but Frank Warren now seems keen to get it on this year. Daniel's sort of saying he'll have it this year, so there's no real reason for it not to happen soon, is there?
No, definitely not. You know, we're probably two of the best British prospects in Britain, if not the world, to be fair. So why not get it on? We're both with the same banner with BT Sport and Frank Warren. So it's an easy fight to happen, you know, and it's a great fight when it happens.
And obviously you're confident of winning, just as he would be. And it's not the end of the world for the loser, is it?
No, listen, David A said, I think, or someone said it, George Groves and James DeGale when they fought. James DeGale, become a two-time world champion, so it's one of them, isn't it? It was a learning fight for James, so that's where you can look at it, really. You know, the loser isn't the end of his career. They can go on and still come world champions. It just proves who's the better prospect that night.
When you were both, the short spell you had together up in Sheffield from Team GB, how prickly was it between you both?
Oh, very, to be fair, because, you know, we'd never share rooms or everything, and we knew we was in each other's way, you know what I mean? It was our each other's competition. So each spy, you know, we wanted to hurt each other, we wanted to impress the coaches and stuff. Even the running, you know, the running in the morning around the track, that was competitive. Everything was competitive.
Yeah, and did you share a room for a couple of nights with him or anything?
Yeah, we shared a room for a couple of nights, but, jeez, I'd have had a better conversation to the wall.
But you're different personalities. Daniel don't say a lot.
Yeah,
you're quite outgoing. You're media friendly as such.
Yeah, he's a very quiet lad in himself type of thing. But when you train and stuff, you gotta have a laugh and a joke with the lads. You know, that's what spurs you on. There's nothing with him. It's just he's just as dull as a dishwasher.
So you just couldn't relate to him at all when you was in that camp. If you'd crack a joke, there'll be no exterior shown.
No, there's no laughing or joking with him. He's just so dull.
So obviously we hope the fight's happening, and you're training hard up at Ricky Hatton's gym. How's it going in there? I've seen some pictures of Tyson Fury and Billy Joe Saunders in there this week.
Yeah, those up there this morning. You know, they're both looking in incredible shape. You know, really sharp, razor sharp. Well, probably the best pair in their own division, best pair of boxers in the world, aren't they? But yeah, training's going really well for me. I've had a good camp, and to be fair, I'm just looking forward to the date now. You know, it's counting down the days.
And so, you know, do you feel when you get in the ring next week, if I could stop this fella because Dubois did this to X, Y, and Z the other week, does that play on your mind at all?
No, not really. At the end of the day, I can't really look across the road, you know, about Dubois. You know, Dubois, he's got his own performance to do, and I've got my own to do. You know what I mean? This fella's never been stopped before. You know, he went previously 10 rounds with Oscar Rivas. You know, Oscar Rivas just come off a great win over Bryant Jennings. This fella's obviously tough and game and durable, so it would be interesting if hopefully, touch wood, if I get the stoppage over him, he'll be good. He'll be hopefully put on a good performance.
And if you are going the distance, you're going to have learnt plenty in there, just like you did with Razvan Kajano. It doesn't always do you the best knocking these fellas out in a round or 2 rounds.
No, definitely not. What happens when you get to round? Listen, you can all stand there and punch a punch bag to this, but what happens when you get to round 10, round 11, when you're in the opposite corner with someone just as talented as you, but you've never done the rounds, or you've never had the hard graft, and you've got nothing left in the tank, but they've got that little bit extra than you because they've done them 10 and 12 rounders. Then what happens then? That's when fighters, a lot of good fighters, if they get found out, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Are you one of those fighters who want to win every fight easily, or are you one of them old school throwbacks who want to have a real heavyweight war one night where you come up, cut up, you might have both been on the floor a couple times, but you've come out as the winner?
Listen, obviously, if I get an easy win, it's an easy night's job in it. But if the war's there and I have to go to war, you know, Steve, you got to do it. As long as I get that W at the end, I'll do whatever it takes to get it.
Well, Steve, Nathan Gorman has described Daniel Dubois as being as dull as a dishwasher. Now, I'm not sure that's the expression he was quite looking for. I think it's meant to be as dull as dishwater, and I'm sure Triple D will contend that. But we've talked at length about these two, and who's going to win? Is it going? People change their mind every week. But what I want to ask you is there a lot of pressure right now on Nathan Gorman following that Dubois win to put on a show next week in Leicester?
Look, people will be expecting that to put on the show next week. Let's see what he can do, because what he'll know, Nathan, is that if he goes the distance against Fabio Maldonado, people, you know what people are like. He's got no pop. That's the third time he's been the distance in as many fights. People, fans will be expecting that. But I think he quite enjoys. He's happy the pressure bit. I think that if he goes the distance next week, takes the pressure away from him, because all the expectation will be on Dubois to go out there and chin him when they fight, which is inevitable.
Well, this Maldonado fella, or Maldonado, I think I called him earlier, but Fabio. I'm going to call him Fabio. Fabio, the former UFC star. He seems to be quite a durable guy in that in his last fight, he took Oscar Rivas the distance in the States, and Oscar Rivas seems to be a little bit of a cut. He's on the come up, and he's been backed by Top Rank, and he stopped Bryant Jennings. So it's going to be quite a job actually for Gorman to get him out of there.
Look, Dubois is about power. Gorman's about skills. There's no doubt who the harder hitter is, but there's nothing to say that Dubois got Gorman's boxing skills. If he got a stoppage win next week, you'd certainly consider it a big statement. Rivas is, he's one of those guys you talking like there's the top three, then there's another little batch, then there's a little batch just before that.
Yeah.
And he's a contender coming through, 26-0. The win over Bryant Jennings was fantastic. And that was an upset win, because Top Rank weren't banking on getting Jennings beaten by him, because I think he was number one or two, he was number 2 with a WBO. He would have moved to mandatory and eventually got another world title fight against Anthony Joshua, whoever was champion at the time. So Rivas is in a really good position. I think Bob Burham's mate has said that he's one of the 4 people that's being considered for Tyson Fury's opponent when he boxes in the summer. So Rivas is in a really good place. And Maldonado going the distance with him isn't the worst result in the world, even though he lost most of the rounds.
By the way, and this might be going off on a tangent there, you just had me thinking. So Oscar Rivas just knocked out Bryant Jennings. Is Bryant Jennings Luis Ortiz's best win?
Oh, that's a good one, that is.
I think he might be, I think he actually might be.
That's a good one. You know what? You're thinking of Luis Ortiz, and you know what? You talk best win. You can argue his best performance was the one in defeat to Deontay Wilder when he was just a hair's breadth away. He beat him back, I think, 3, 4, 5 years ago when Jennings was certainly a lot fresher at the time. And then, it would be. You look, Malik Scott going the points. Chisora took him out in 6 rounds. Cajano he beat in a couple rounds. You'd say the standout performances on his record. That's a great point. Is the defeat to Wilder, because he was fantastic that night. He was down 3 times, but never gave up, and it was close at the end. And you'd certainly say Bryant Jennings was at that time a level above the 2016 version of Tony Thompson, Scott, and the likes of Dave Allen.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, we've gone off on a tangent there, but the point is Nathan Gorman next Saturday night, he is back in action. He takes on Big Fabio from Brazil, who used to be in the UFC and used to knock people out there. He's now knocking out a lot of people in boxing. I think he's got like a 93% knockout rate. And big test for Gorman, actually, just to see what this guy's like. It's a bit of a trip into the unknown. That's BT Sport next Saturday night from the Leicester Arena. Big show. Sam Bowen's on the show. He's taking on Jordan McCrory. That's the British super featherweight title. Sam Maxwell is back, gets his first title shot. Leon Woodstock's in action. It's a cracking little show, and we are looking forward to it. Mick Conlan, the Belfast hero representing all of Ireland. Well, he's back. He's back on Sunday night. It's live on BoxNation. It's St. Paddy's Day, and the 10-0 featherweight takes on Ruben Garcia Hernandez in a 10-rounder. Steve Lillis gave him a quick call.
Michael, thanks for joining us again on the Boxing Podcast. Fantastic having you on, and it must be even nicer for you, 3rd successive year headlining Madison Square Garden on St. Patrick's weekend. What does that mean to you as an Irishman?
Oh, first off, I think it's a pleasure to be on, Steve. Pleasure to be talking to you again, as always. But yeah, it means the world to me to be picking up St. Patrick's Day, but even more so in Madison Square Garden. It's my third year running. It was my fifth day, I think, because this will be the fifth one in the garden alone. So I'm very, very grateful. It's my favourite night of the year, St. Patrick's Night, and on the boxing calendar, definitely, it's definitely one of the ones that always sticks out to me.
And when you look back to Tim O'Bara on your pro debut there a couple of years ago, when Conor McGregor led the ring walk and it was a crazy build-up, you was in New York personally selling tickets, a month shaking hands out there. How much have you come on since then?
I think there's a massive difference, a massive improvement. Just in terms of my professional boxing style and how I've settled into the game now, I kind of understand it and stuff. So yeah, I think I've improved an awful lot. I think even last year it showed from year one the improvements were dramatic. I thought the difference in the calmness, the composure, and how I went about the job last year compared to the first year was massive. And it's something that I think I take great confidence from, and I believe this tape will be even better because I've experienced this atmosphere. I controlled it last year better than the first year, and this year I think I've controlled it even better. I'm thought I'm narrowed down with performance.
Yeah, I mean, and also on the bill is Vladimir Nikitin. Now, we're going to see this fight this year, hopefully in Belfast.
Yeah, I hope so. That's been the aim. That's the top ranked one that I want, and that's what we're aiming for. Me versus Nikitin sometime this year, Belfast. It looks likely, and it would be fantastic to face him in Belfast, and that would be a dream come true fight for me because it's one I want to listen. Obviously before I said I have no personal feeling towards Vladimir, but it's a wrong which I need to make right, and I believe that when we do face each other, it will not go past 6 rounds. I do really not take him out. I think he takes too many punches. I don't think he's been seeing fighters since he boxed me in Rio. So I'm looking forward to facing him and correcting what was meant to be in Rio and putting it to bed.
Well, when you met him, I know I've seen that the publicity shot you both took in Las Vegas when you met before. What did you say to each other when you had that meeting?
Well, listen, it's no problem. He knows it's just business, and I know it's just business, and that's all it is. It's simple. It's straight out business. He has obviously got probably ill feeling towards me, more so me towards him, because his career now is going to be remembered for the controversial decision he got in the Olympics. That's what he's famous for. But when we meet each other, we greet each other friendly because I've known the guy years from the amateur. I've been around the circle with him, and he was always pleasant then, and he's still pleasant now. Still says hello, Shannon. He can't really speak much English, but he just says hello, and I just say hello to him, and he wishes me good luck and stuff in Vegas as I did him. So there's no bad feeling, but I'm sure when the fight is made and talking starts to happen and I start to spit facts at him and he starts to say his things back to me, there will be a bit of tension, I would say.
And we last saw you were in the ring in December when you won your first professional title, the WBO Intercontinental Crown, when you beat Jason Cunningham. Another fine performance. About 90 minutes later that night, your great friend Carl Frampton got in the ring and fought Josh Warrington. The last time you was on the podcast, you told us that it would be a bit of a spy mission for you, especially to look at Warrington. What was your opinion of Warrington that night, and are you still the man to beat him?
I thought he was fantastic. He had a great game plan. He stuck to it. And one thing about Josh Warrington is that he seems to listen to every single instruction he gets in the corner and implements them very, very well. Some fighters listen to him, but they don't really implement them. He implements everything he is meant to do, and that's what works for him. So yeah, I thought he put on a fantastic performance. And surprised me also, because I did say before I thought Clark would win. But I do think when we do face each other, is that I will do things the Clark didn't do and use movements which he shouldn't have done, and things which I feel that I could expose and navigate my way to a win against Josh Warrington. I do believe I beat him, but I do believe he's a better champion than I thought he was.
How soon do you think Top Rank will push you towards that fight, or do you think they might go another direction? Like Shackle Stevenson, or just keep you two apart for now until it's enormous, you and Stevenson.
Yeah, I think that was their aim from the start. I think that's what they're probably going to try and do. But we're talking this time next year. It could be me, Josh Warrington, in Madison Square Garden.
Oh, imagine the atmosphere. Even bringing about 10,000 Leeds fans over. You having 10,000 Irishmen. It's England v Ireland as well.
100%. That not always adds an extra bit of space to it as well. And especially me being a very, very proud Irishman, I would wind that up even more so. But when I actually look at it, we just said the other night that Josh Warrington's father is actually from the Falls Road, so he's actually an Irishman, really.
I didn't know that Sean O'Hagan's a great Irish name, but I had no idea he was from the Falls Road until you told me. You wouldn't think so with his accent. That's as Yorkshire as you can get.
He was saying he moved, his father or something moved over years and years ago, but his background is actually from the Falls Road and Belfast, so that's my road. So it's the Butler to Falls Road, maybe more so than Ireland, England.
I went past the Falls Road when I was running in Ireland last year, and then I didn't know how close it was to the Shankill. I didn't really understand that side of it, how close those sort of roads are. It's mad.
It's crazy, isn't it? Just a wall separating them. So, it's mad, but that's Belfast for you.
Mad city, wonderful city, but mad. But before we can, you know as well as anyone, before you can fight Josh and Nicotine, and the massive fight down the line in a few years against Shackle Stevenson, when you'll hopefully both earn millions and be able to retire afterwards with loads of money. You've got this fight against Ruben Garcia and Nandez. It seems another step up. He's only lost to the very best, Rafael Riviera and Randy Caballero, when both men were unbeaten.
Yeah, and then he went to distance also with the Donner after that. So he's a tough character. He came from the Mexican school. He was there. That's where he got a lot of his wins, probably in Mexico. He's fought in Europe as well. He's got wins in Europe. He's a tough character, and even the one he lost to Caballero, I think that's his only stoppage loss. It was a tough fight. I watched Caballero after winning the world title, but he moved up a division obviously because he didn't make weight, and then he ended up fighting and had something to prove. So he was on fire then, and it was a tough fight, and the guy didn't want to get stopped. He I think the corner threw a towel in or something, but he's tough. He knows how to navigate himself for the distance, has a weak bit of power, and he's your typical smart Mexican fighter on the inside and stuff. So he can't be dirty and stuff with the leg, and when it's getting confidence, he will gain and grow and become a better fighter in the ring. But the plan is just to go out, do what I do best, and take away the confidence right away, and implement my game plan and get the victory, whether it's by KO, whether it's by points. And I'm going to be pushing for the KO, obviously, but if it has to go the distance, it goes the distance. I'm prepared. I've had a great camp. I've had great sparring, and I'm feeling good.
Well, Steve, it's a bit of a St. Paddy's Day party, isn't it? Nice show, this.
Yeah, boy, like all the shows on BoxNation, they're all very nice, Dev. This is the third time, well, in two years, but the third consecutive St. Patrick's Day when he has topped the bill at Madison Square Garden. He's downstairs this year against Ruben Garcia, 10-round featherweight fight, and it's another learning fight for him. It's all heading towards, it seems, this year, a showdown with Vladimir Nicotine, of course, the Russian who controversially beat him at the Olympics. But he's got to start, he's talking of Josh Warrington on the world title this time next year. So we've got to start looking for Mick to make statements. And this looks a good fight, good test for Mick Conlan. Garcia looks solid enough. He says he's a bit of a technical boxer, so that might make for it a chess match in the theatre below the garden. The only man that stopped him was Randy Caballero, who dropped him twice, and then his corner pulled him out after 7 rounds. That's no disgrace. Caballero was unbeaten at the time and had just won the IBF title against Stewie Hall, although that was a non-title fight. And then he went the distance with Rafael Riviera, who was unbeaten at the time, and he went the distance with Noniso Donez. That's not bad form. So it certainly would be a surprise to me, Dev, if Conlan got Garcia out the way. Those losses against Riviera and Donez suggest to me that he's more than durable and can take Michael's power for 10 rounds, even if I think he'll be well behind on points after the fight.
So, Steve, for those listeners who are thinking it's on Sunday night, are you guys what Sunday night from New York? Are you expecting me to stay up till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday night? I've got work the next day. Steve, tell me the news.
You will not be staying up until 3, 4 a.m. You will not be putting anything on your planner and watching it live the next morning. You'll be sitting in front of your telly with Mrs. Sahni, cup of hot chocolate, a cheese sandwich and granary bread.
This is for all listeners. They're not going to be sat with Mrs. Sahni. Well, I should hope not.
We're on air from 8:45, and it's not just about Michael Conlan on St. Patrick's Day. We don't just have Irish boxers. There's Luis Colazzo against Samuel Vargas in a clash of the men, beaten on points by Amir Khan. Big crossroads fight. The winner is on the fringes of a world title fight. For the loser, it's a one-way ticket to Palookaville.
Well, that sounds like a loser leaves town match. Steve, what else is coming up? I had a little look on the Box Nation schedule, and it looks like it's filling up. Talk to me.
It's becoming stacked. And it's a double this weekend, a live boxing double this weekend. On Saturday, the cameras are in Kempton Park, just outside Johannesburg. And the IBO World Cruiserweight Champion, Kevin Lerena, really interesting character. He's up against a German-based Kazakh managed by the Sauerlands called Artem Man. It looks a really good fight. There's a bit of a buzz about Lerena. If you look at BoxRec outside the top 4 or 5 East Europeans who have a monopoly on the division, he seems the next man being spoken about. Really, really interesting guy, Lerena.
That's interesting, Steve. Would you say that to be the man, he's got to beat the man?
Oh, no. That is a get your coat joke. He's got to beat the man, but to become the man, he's got to beat a lot of East Europeans. But he's an interesting character. His family are big in the horse racing world in South Africa. Very, very wealthy indeed. He's cousin's the champion jockey. He's another cousin. I think it's Stephen Lerena trains horses, and he's the business partner. A serious family. He's also got a security firm. And when Justin Bieber was in South Africa recently, he was the bit of beef that minded him. Real interesting guy. So I'm looking forward to seeing this action on Saturday on Box Nation.
Nice bit of trivia. I like the whole Justin Bieber thing there as well. Big fan of the music and the man, because I saw the film on Netflix. So he's misunderstood. Wow, so that's a double header this weekend. But I understand there's even more coming up. Come on, Steve, give it to me.
Yeah, we got boxing from Russia on the 23rd. A fantastic card there. I'll give you details of next week. And on Saturday, the 30th of March, we're in Philadelphia. WBC light heavyweight champion Alexander Gvozdyk. Many are people's idea of the number one 175-pound boxer in the world, and I'm not going to argue with that. He's fighting a Frenchman called Doudou Gumbu. Look forward to that fight on the 30th, and as we get into April and May and head to the summer, there's going to be a lot more.
Well, I can't wait. 8:45 this Sunday night boxing. It's St. Paddy's Day. It's a party. Grab a Guinness, switch on Box Nation and enjoy Mick Conlan at sociable hours. Can't wait. 13-0 light heavyweight Lyndon Arthur has been quietly going about his business. He's been knocking people out on undercards and making his way up the rankings. Well, 2019 is looking like the year that King Arthur may well be about to begin his ascent to the throne. Here he is with Steve Lillis.
Lyndon, and you got your next fight, I believe, on Friday against Gonzalo Romero, is it? Where's that fight? And tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, it's a small hall show. My first day rounder on a Black Fast promotion show. It's, I look to get him out of there fast, but if I can't, it'd be good to get the rounds in. I'm just ready to, after this fight now, I'm just ready to look at titles, get my name out there properly.
So what's the aim after this? To go and box on one of Frank's shows in the next couple of months?
Yeah. I'm looking at either a WBO, European, or Intercontinental, just to get on TV and show my talents and get out there properly, let people know who I am this year.
Yeah, well, you're 13-0 at the moment, and you win an international title. People might, and we see people turn their noses up at them, but to you, it's good business because you get a world ranking, an exposure.
Yeah, you do that, and the ranking, the exposure is what I want more now. I need people to start talking about me like they're talking about every other light heavyweight in the game, because I believe I'm as good as everyone, if not better. So the exposure will be great for me right now.
Well, when you mention the attention other fighters are getting, I presume you mean like the publicity Anthony Yarde's getting. You know, what do you make of all the attention Yarde seems to be having thrust upon him?
I can't knock him. I mean, if I was in his position, I'd be doing the same thing. He's beating what's in front of him. He's doing it. He's doing it well to a degree, and he's getting paid, and this is what we're in the sport for. So I can't knock what he's doing. I believe he's getting backlash, and a lot of people talking nonsense about him because of the opponents he's getting, because of the line he's pulling in off the opponent that he's fighting. But I'm sure if he has one good fight against a credible opponent, all that will go away. If not, when I get there, I'll beat him, and we'll move on.
The opponents he's fought, would you back yourself to have knocked them all out or beaten them?
Oh, 1,000,000%, 1,000,000%. Guys, like I said, I can't knock what he's doing because I'm not there yet. I have not fought probably the opponents he's fought yet, but I have no doubt in my mind that the opponents he has fought, I would do the same, if not better to them.
I mean, how soon do you think you and him could fight? Because obviously, though you're similar ages and you've only had a few fights left, he's highly ranked by the WBO. So realistically, how soon could you and Anthony fight?
I'd like to say soon, but realistically, it's probably not going to happen. That's why I'm saying I would like to start getting my name out there now, so that fight can probably happen sooner rather than later. If it happens at all, again, I said in another interview before this, I'm not looking for that fight. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it would be a great fight to be in. Yeah, as long as I keep winning and he's doing his thing, I'm sure the demand for the fight might get there. As long as like I said, I get the exposure that I want.
And you're confident of beating him?
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
With Anthony, did you feel at all sorry for him when he gets this stick at all? Because he's done nothing wrong, has he, with these people?
No, this is what I'm saying is this is why I say if he fights one credible, say for example he fights Kovalev now and he beats a Kovalev, all the fights that he's just done, all the stick he gets goes away. Nobody says anything about him, so I guess he's just one fight away from not having any of that talk about him. But as far as I feel sorry for him, no, yeah, I do, because he is only beating what's in front of him, and he's being promoted properly and managed properly, so you can't take nothing away from what he's doing. This boxing is a hard sport, and to anyone that gets in the ring, you have to have respect for.
You've been quite busy on social media the last week. First of all, you caught a kid robbing your car. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Do you know what? He's just a young kid, He was trying to steal from out my car. My uncle come out and seen him in it. We went looking for him and caught him, and he said sorry. He done the stuff, and that was it. But what I'm going to try and do with him, I'm going to try, rather than just leave it at that, I'm going to try and get him to see. I'm going to try and get hold of it after my fight, and I've got rid of my stuff. I'm going to try and get hold of him and see if I can get him in the gym and actually try and push him in a different direction than robbing out of cars or robbing houses or whatever he's been up to, and see if I can change the path of his life, because everyone's been there where he is, and everyone's been 16, and everyone's done silly things, but it's about where you go from there. And I'm sure if I could help him get in the boxing gym and get some discipline behind him and some structure into his life, I'm sure I would love to help him change that.
Do you know the kid, or do you know the family at all?
I've had a family member of his message me, and he's from local, so I'm sure if when I put my mind to it, I'll be able to get a hold of him and get to where he is and hopefully get him in the gym.
And then someone else who you're trying to help that young man, which is very noble, and save him from what's almost certainly going to prison at some stage.
Yeah,
but you don't
see. It could have been someone else that caught him that might have gave him a beating, might have done that, because people don't take thieving lightly. Or like you say, the police could have got him and he could have been locked up. Do you know what I'm saying? So if I could change that about him, just one person, and then I'll be happy to do that.
Brilliant. And one person you're not being so generous about, Sonny Edwards. What's gone on between you two? You and Sonny. He's a big flyweight, or a little flyweight prospect with a big future. You're a big light heavyweight with a big future. You can't fight each other. How are you going to settle the Twitter beef?
No. What? Me and Sonny are good friends. We're just having a little back on.
Oh, is that what it was?
What I'm going to do for Sonny, I'm going to see if there's any height operations you can do, and see if I can get him a few more inches. Because I don't feel like he feels like a man right now. But you know, me and Sonny are good friends.
It did look like it when I was reading Twitter last night. It was great reading, mind you, for everybody.
Yeah, we was having a little back and forth. It was just jokes.
Oh, myself and Dev on the podcast, we was hoping it was real beef. We was hoping you were going to do a press conference and get pulled apart when you're on the same bill. You've devastated me.
I'll see what weight I can make, and if I can get the weight off, I'll try and get down to Sonny's weight.
There's a couple of things I really like the sound of that Lyndon Arthur said there. The first one was he said he'd knock out everyone that Anthony Yard knocked out, and he might even be doing a better job. Wow, big statement, and I'm looking forward to hearing what Yard has to say about that, if anything, if he even addresses it at all. But the second thing I like there was about the kid that tried to rob his car. He wants to take him to the gym and get him onto the straight and narrow. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, let's hope he can, because you saw, if you saw the video, the kid when he pulled him was absolutely bricking it when he said sorry, and he was crying, the kid. Yeah. And you know what? I'll take a different slant, and then I'd be more angry than what Lyndon was. But you know what? Lyndon's from that area, Manchester, Collyhurst, where a lot of the kids who go to that gym there, Collyhurst and Moston Boys Club, where he trains with Zelfa Barrett under Zelfa's uncle Pat. They come from troubled backgrounds. There's a big education room there at the background now, and I've been up the gym filming for you, Dev, when at lunchtime kids who have been bunking school and not showing up are brought to that gym for an hour. And, I've watched these kids train there. So that does go on there. And you know what? If that can get that kid on the straight and narrow, perhaps we shouldn't be, too hard on that young lad, because you know what? He could get into boxing and it could turn his life around.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Lyndon's been, as you said, in touch with the family. And after his fight against Gonzalo Romero this weekend, he's going to visit the kid again and try and get him down the gym. Let's just hope that young lad's learned the lesson. But you know what? One thing I'll say about Lyndon, he's learning to sell himself really, really well there. The Sonny Edwards beef that they've had that was pretend. I thought it was serious when I first read it. He's talking Yard, he's talking good about Yard, he's talking bad about Yard's opponents, and of course he's talking about getting kids off the streets. He's selling himself really well, and it's time for her to make a move with him now, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think the whole the thing about getting the kid on the straight and narrow, for me, that's a real show of character there. For me, if a kid was trying to rob my car, I would never want to see him again. But Lyndon Arthur wants to see him and wants to make his life better. So good on him, and good luck in your fight coming up very soon, Lyndon Arthur. I'm sure we will be seeing a lot more of him this year. 14-0, a British super featherweight champion Sam Bowen is back in action next Saturday night at the Leicester Arena. He takes on Jordan McCrory, who is the Scottish super featherweight champion, for the British title. Well, his fellow Leicester 130-pounder Leon Woodstock had the opportunity to step in and take the fight with Bowen when initial opponent Ronnie the Shark Clark pulled out. However, Woodstock turned the fight down. Here's what Sam Bowen had to say about it.
Well, he got offered it to fight me to defend my British when Ronnie Clark pulled out. But if you think about it, to be fair, it would have been ideal to fight me because obviously we were worried about not getting an opponent, so it would have been great for him to fill in, but he didn't take it then. But I don't understand where would it get me fighting him. Like I say, you say about me ranking getting pushed up, he's not even ranked as high as me, so if I fight someone that's ranked higher than me and I beat him, my ranking's going up. If I fight someone that's, if I beat him, it's just a name and he's ranked below me. It's just like I could fight 10 other people the same as me, it ain't going to get me anywhere. I might as well fight someone that's better than him, better ranking, and then it will get me further up the rankings.
Were you surprised or disappointed but he didn't step in to sort of save the last show, if you like?
I wasn't bothered. It didn't surprise me in the slightest. Like I say, he's an opponent. If we were going to fill in, happy days. It's just an opponent. It's from Leicester. That is all it is. He's just a lad from Leicester. That's it. There's a professional boxer at my weight. There's no more to say on it.
Steve, that Bowen Woodstock fight, it's going to happen eventually, isn't it? I think maybe the timing wasn't quite right, huh?
Look, you know what I'm going to do? Timing is everything in boxing, as Anthony Yard always says. And maybe it was a little bit too short notice for Leon Woodstock. But you know what? I want the fight to happen sooner the better. Local rivalry. It does both fighters good. It's a big fight for the area. It's great for fans. It's great for TV viewers on BT. That's the fight we want to see both of these men in. And you know what? I've spoken to Leon Woodstock. He's promised to come on the podcast next week and respond to why he turned the fight down and when. I'm going to ask him, when will the time be right?
Yeah, well, they're both in action next Saturday night. Leon Woodstock's on that show as well at the Leicester Arena. And again, you know, it's a chance to kind of build that fight as well. Woodstock looks good on the undercard, knocks someone out. People will be saying, okay, fight Bowen. Bowen looks good, knocks out McCrory. There will be those saying, all right, let's see what you like against Woodstock. Even though, you know, Bowen's the British champion and Bowen seems to be going on at a higher level right now, people still want to see that fight. So let's see what happens next Saturday, Leicester Arena, BT Sport. Now, Steve, I'm looking at you, and you don't appear to have brought the same level of venom with you this week that you have in previous weeks. You seem in good spirits. You seem, dare I say, at peace. But I've still got to ask, what you talking about, Lillis?
Oh, I'm going to talk about Anthony Ogogo, and how can you have a rant when you're talking about Anthony Ogogo? And if, as you know, Dev, anyone who's met this fella in life would not have a bad word to say. He's on that very small list where nobody, well, he's on an exclusive list almost, because I've never heard a bad word against him. And it's just such a shame he's had to retire so prematurely with such a terrible eye injury. You know what? When he turned professional after getting his bronze medal at the Olympics, he was on Strictly Come Dancing. He was on the Channel 4 program. I forget what it was called, where they dive. You know, where he was running around in Speedos every weekend and women couldn't stop turn on. You know, it's a Olympic bronze medal, Commonwealth Games gold. He turned professional. He got going. He was just beset by injuries. And that is just such a shame. And just a message to any fighter, you've just got to look out for yourself there. Do what's right for you, because poor Anthony, he's never had a chance to fulfill that potential. And that's a tragedy, because after that Olympics in 2012, because, you know, he built a fantastic profile up, he was probably the best known out of all of them to turnover, apart from Anthony Joshua. And I'm just sorry that he never got the chance to show what he was really made of as a professional. And I tell you what, I think it's going to be so hard for him to get boxing out of his system. You know, he's admitted defeat for the first time in his career, and I hope he doesn't struggle in life and he finds something really positive to do, be it in wrestling, where he you know, I know he loves that industry. He could become a professional wrestler. It wouldn't surprise me. He says he's still got dreams of getting a knighthood. I just hope he finds something he's really happy with and can get boxing, well, the fighting side of boxing, out of the system. And the retirement statement he made just oozed class. It was pouring out of it. And, you know, Dev, you know him better than me. You had the pleasure of doing a show for him. So I'm sure you'll have something to add to my love for Anthony there.
Yeah, no, plenty of love from my end. I think he's just one of the real nice guys in boxing, in a sport full of egos and you know, a lot of characters, some of them unsavory. Anthony Ogogo stands out as one of the real nice guys. We had a show together with Charlie Webster on Box Nation called Charlie's Web a few years back, where they'd come to Dev's Corner for like little social stuff, and it was Ogogo and Webster kind of leading, and it was great fun, and just sort of being around him. We got on really well. We had similar interests in wrestling. We're sort of a similar age as well. Yeah, no, he's great, and I just wish him well. I hope he finds, you know, peace in whatever he's going to do. I know whatever he does do, he's going to be a huge success in it. He's a great talker. You know, he's got the looks. He can, once he puts his mind to it, he can do anything. So yeah, definitely wish him well, Steve.
Beautiful. Well said, Dev.
Well, Steve, that's nearly all we've got time for. But before we go, I've got to pick your brains. Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia. It's this Saturday night. Where's your head at with it?
Oh, my head's been where it has been since the start. I'm with Errol Spence. There's been this sudden, I don't know what's caused it. I mean, it's a battle between two top 10 pound for pound fighters. Let's not, let's not underestimate how great this fight is. It's a super fight to me. It really is. There's been this sudden big sort of play for Mikey Garcia winning over the last couple of weeks. Some good judges as well, but I just don't see it. Errol is much bigger, and I just don't see mistakes in him. He's a big, strong southpaw. Mikey's a brilliant boxer, but is he a better boxer than Errol? I don't think so.
There seems to be, as you said, Steve, a bit of a hipster movement to kind of, do you know what? I'm going to back Mikey Garcia here. I don't see it. Yeah, he might be a better boxer than Errol Spence, but there's weight divisions for a reason. I mean, this guy Mikey Garcia, he's been as low as what, featherweight? 126 pound. He won a world title there, didn't he? Featherweight, super feather, lightweight. My God.
Yeah, he had struggles, making those weights, and he was always enormous back then. But we're talking a guy jumping 2 weight divisions, and I don't have a problem with it. But you need time to grow into weight classes. Look, anything can happen in boxing, but I do think Errol is going to have that awful night we've never seen him have yet. He will have to have a stinker to come unstuck, and I don't see how Garcia can cope with his size.
And just on the size, this isn't Terence Crawford he's fighting. This isn't Terence Crawford who a couple of years ago was at lightweight as a reigning world champion. This isn't Terence Crawford who won all the belts at 140 and he's now a world champion at 147 pounds and he's kind of having a few fights there. This is Errol Spence, who will probably be weighing around 160 pounds on fight night, maybe a bit less than that. I might be exaggerating, but he's huge. He is absolutely huge. This is a guy draining down to make welterweight against a guy who is really, he's going to have to put on a lot of weight, a lot of muscle. I've seen pictures, he has put on some muscle to get up to 147 pounds. It's just the disparity is huge. I can't see anything past an Errol Spence win. However, I don't know if he'll stop him.
I wouldn't be surprised he went the distance, but at all. I mean, it's a long time since. When was the last time Spence even went the distance? I think it was, you're going back 5-6 years, you must be going. I think he's only 3 or 4 times he's been the distance in his career. But if you think how he beat Kell Brook, who himself is a big welterweight.
Yeah.
You look at things like that. I'm not saying Kell Brook's Garcia, but he deals with big natural welterweights. Brooks developed is too big for the weight. But I just think the size is all important here. I don't underestimate Garcia's boxing skills or what a great fight it is. But for me, there's only one winner. And you know what? You're thinking points. I'm going to go Spence late stoppage.
You're going for it. You're going for the big one.
Yeah, definitely. Spence late stoppage. And if he doesn't stop him, I think he wins wide on points. And then, Garcia will lose nothing in defeat. He's there to be great. Let's not knock him. He's boosted his profile, and then he has to decide what weight he thinks he belongs at for the future, because there's no doubt even if Mikey comes off second best, he's good enough to become a world champion again.
Oh, definitely. Well, it's one I'm looking forward to be honest. And yeah, I see. I reckon Spence will knock Garcia down a few times. I just think Garcia will know enough to see out the full 12. So I'm going with Spence on points. Looking forward to it. Well, Steve, it's another week. It was another great show. You brought me Shannon Briggs this week. You know, let's go, champ. You've said let's go, champ, probably 40 times in this week's show.